Where to even begin? I think where we should start is perhaps just telling people a little bit about AppSumo and how it came to be. Would be perhaps a good place to start. If you'd like to start somewhere else, we can
start. I mean, I think what's interesting is kind of the journey of how I got to AppSumo.
Yeah, well, let's talk about
that. So a lot of people out there, maybe some in the audience, some of the fans, some of the people watching, I started off with a really crappy job.
Right.
I started at Intel. One of the things I was known for was sleeping under my desk. I brought a sleeping bag, like I would position the chairs, I'd bring candles. And I hated my job, and I was literally working the 1 hour work week, where I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I wanted to change, so I ended up just kind of sending my resume to Facebook, and that kind of started me off into the startup world. And from there, Facebook, I was able to build a lot of products. I think some of you guys may have heard of them. Anybody in the chat room heard of Facebook?
Facebook. You worked on the ad platform also, right?
I built Facebook ads, did Facebook mobile, Facebook status updates. And it was one of these things where I think a lot of people who are building businesses, you kind of have to do, what I've found is you have to really be doing what you're interested in and things that you're using actively. Because my mom and my grandma, my family were like, Facebook? What is this Facebook? MySpace is killing them. My mom's like, I saw him on Oprah. I saw MySpace on Oprah. You are screwed. What are you doing? Stay at Intel. And it was just like, I love what they were doing. I was really excited to be going there. And I think that's a really big takeaway for a lot of people is just think about what you're already interested in using or doing. Or think about what you're doing in your weekends.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, how do I make a business out of that?
Right.
And so from there, I was able to, after Facebook, I went to mint.com. And then a few years later now, I work at appsumo.com. So AppSumo, for the people who don't know, we promote cool products.
AppSumo is yours also.
Yes, it's the first. I kept getting fired. People were like, "Why are you an entrepreneur?" And I was like, "I either get fired or let go." And I wanted to have the say and have the freedom to run a business the way I wanted to run it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's been an interesting story, interesting journey.
So entrepreneurs, this is just a side note. So entrepreneurs and chefs have actually a lot in common. They're both totally crazy, generally. and people are like, oh, that's so courageous of you to be an entrepreneur. Oh, that's so courageous of you to like follow your passion, become a chef. And they're like, nobody else would like hire me.
Yeah.
I'm unemployable.
There's nothing else. So. You know what's interesting about that is that like I'm actually risk averse. Most people think entrepreneurs like, oh, you ride motorcycles. Okay, I do ride motorcycles. But they think you like jump off cliffs and you do all these kind of crazy stuff. But I actually don't start businesses until I know they're already working.
Yeah.
So I didn't quit mint.com until I already knew that my next business was going. And I didn't leave that to do AppSumo until I already saw that people were wanting what I was working on.
Yeah.
And so that's.
So people think of me as this crazy risk taker. I'm actually not. I don't view myself as a risk taker. And when I started my first business, same thing. Before I left, well, actually our whole entire sales division was fired. But before that happened,
before you let go.
Yeah, before they like dismantled and then imploded, I had it up and running and prototyped it. And that's something I've been really impressed with when I've watched everything that you've done is the sort of prototyping, testing, iteration, validation, all of that.
Yeah.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about what you mean by I only start businesses that I know are working or will work.
Exactly.
I think that's a foreign concept to a lot of people.
Yeah, so I think maybe I'll say a little bit of the counter of it where I was calculating it last night, I've spent over 12 months of my life and over $100,000 in things that have not worked. Yeah. Right, so I keep doing all these things that are not working. I'm like, well, what actually will work? So with AppSumo specifically, I was like, I want to spend as little money as possible and I want to spend as little time as possible to know if it works. Mm-hmm. And then if it doesn't work, okay, fine, I'll accept that and move on to something else.
Right.
So with AppSumo, you make a hypothesis. That's all your businesses are. It's a hypothesis. I think people are fat and I want to help them through this method. Yeah. Or with AppSumo, I said, I want to promote digital products that I think are just really great for startups. Mm-hmm. And so what you try to do is, how do I minimize the amount of time and money to do that? And so with AppSumo, it took me $60 and about a week, give or take, to actually understand if that was a viable business. Yeah. My hypothesis was, could I get 200 people to buy a digital product online for startups? Mm-hmm. And so what most people do in business, this is a very common, I actually call it an engineering disease. If you're an engineer, you guys are smart. Is anybody here an engineer? Anybody know? Yeah, it's okay, have some pride. You're smarter than everybody else here. Right? Anybody engineers who watch, you guys know you're smarter, it's fine, I've accepted that. But an engineer, what you do is you love to build really cool shit. Right? It's really great to build something, and then you go out with it and you're like, anybody want this? Anybody want this? Right? Bueller? Yeah. The audience, I'm sure the people online know that as well, and so I like working backwards.
Yeah.
I like going to the customer and trying to understand, all right, well, what is the problems you're having? Maybe in message boards or forums, like what things are people already talking about? Like go to a message board, go to like, I think it's bigboards.com. You can find message boards on any topic.
Big boards.
Big boards, yeah. And then you can see people complaining about things. And then you can actually go and solve that problem. So with my hypothesis with AppSumo, how I did it in the week and with $60 is I went to reddit.com and I said, all right, well, what are they really talking about? What products are they using? And they're using Imgur, which is a photo hosting. A lot of you guys know like the memes. You probably see all these weird memes online. A lot of them are at Imgur. I know in our office at AppSumo, they pass them around. Anyway, so for $60, I basically was like, oh, they're talking about Imgur on Reddit, so I know where my customers are. I know what the product they actually want is. And I went to Imgur and said, let me sell this for you. I will go promote this online. And I contacted a guy in Pakistan. His name is Muhammad. You can email me, Noah at AppSumo. I'll give you his contact info. And he's $12 an hour. And so I had him build the PayPal button. And then I went on Google and searched how to build a site. I really did. I went to Google. And so I took that code.
That must have pulled up a lot of really legitimate websites.
Yeah, how to build a website. Well, that's totally valid. I mean,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, but I searched on Google like how to build a registration page. And even now I could do it more ghetto. Now you don't even need to do that. Now you literally just need your PayPal email. You're like, hey, what do you want? So people in the beginning, I posted on Reddit because that's where the customers are, as we talked about. And then people would start buying it. And I didn't build any really complicated backend. I literally manually emailed everyone who bought. So once they bought, I got an email and I was like, all right, let me go send you the product. Send. And what happens with a lot of people as they're building these businesses are like, well, I need all this backend complexity and I need to send them these things. And it's like, do you actually need that? Or can you really just do it manually for the time being and seeing if people want it?
Yeah, I need to scale. It's like, well, why don't you make sure one person's going to buy it first?
Yeah, please don't say the S word. I mean,
the S word.
We're live.
I know, I'm sorry.
And that's funny because so many people have, we're going to talk with some people today, they have these fantasies about, oh, I'm going to have all these COOs and CEOs and CTOs and how am I going to get 1 million customers and all these things. And it's really like, I call it the velocity to $1. How can you really just break to your first dollar? And once you can start getting in that mindset, it really changes your perspective about how am I going to get this business really working versus all the playing business.
And I think one of the points that you made is really, well, they're all important points. And for what it's worth, like in everything that I've done, we are 100% on the exact same page. Now, there are different ways to skin the business cat, but this is the risk-averse, cost-minimal way. And one thing that I did, I haven't actually said this before, when I wrote The 4-Hour Chef, is I polled all my readers for their favorite cookbooks of all time. If you could only choose one or two, which would the two be that you would choose? And you could never buy another book. Then I had an assistant help me, and you could do this yourself certainly, narrow that down to only books that had an average of 4.5 stars or higher on Amazon. And then I looked at the 3-star most helpful reviews, or most critical, most helpful, and looked for the things that they identified as missing in those best books. And then I made a running list of all the things that were missing from even the best books. Like in barbecue, they neglect brisket a lot. I was like, okay, great. Like we're gonna do short ribs, brisket, it's gonna be in my book. And I made like a hit list because I knew the market was there.
That's a really high, I don't know if you guys got that. You should almost, like, just to repeat what you're saying. I'm not +1ing you, I'm +0ing you. I'm keeping it the same. Is that, like these customers on Amazon have already bought something, they're already telling you what's missing, and now you can go serve them. And that's not just on Amazon. That's on message boards, it's on Twitter, that's on Facebook. People are already telling you what they want solved. So that's awesome about
like
that.
knife skills, like solved. Like problem, okay, solved. They're already spending $100 on 2-3 books to try to figure it out. So we could jump straight into, we're going to do the case studies, but what are some other common mistakes or rules of thumb that are your pros, like your go-to rules?
Yeah, I wrote them down. I put them in the 10 Commandments. I put them in my little black book. A lot of these are from, let me share some of the stories of what I've gone through to help you guys understand, and I'll relate them to some of the things. I call it the totem pole problem. And what the totem pole is that, Tim, would you pay me $50 to take off your shoes every night?
No. $50 to massage my feet after the shoes come off, maybe.
See that? Okay, that actually is right there. That's what's interesting. And so in the totem pole effect, there's on the bottom of the totem pole is shit, right? And so you're like, I'm not going to pay you $50 to take off my shoes. But what did you say afterwards?
I said if you took them off and then massage my feet.
Right. So now as we move up people on the totem pole, it's like, well, that's actually a higher value proposition. That's a higher problem I'm solving for you. And so what you really need to consider is where are you on the totem pole with your customer? And what happened with me in the past is that I did credit card processing. So we powered Zynga's payments and Tagged and Area Games. And none of them woke up and said, man, I really can't wait for Noah to do our credit card processing today, right? Because I would call them and be like, hey guys, it's Noah. And they're like, Noah who? Right? And then I said, well, tell me what are your bigger problems? What do you actually want? They're like, well, we really want customers. Right? So I was like, all right, that's higher on the totem pole. So realize where you are on the totem pole with your business. A second key thing that I've started noticing, it's a really big trend with entrepreneurs that we're trying to kill, right? We want these people to all be entrepreneurs and successful.
Get the term right, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, is that they need time limitations. And you actually talked about this in your first book.
Yeah.
I believe it's Parkinson's Law.
Yeah.
Right, so what happens is people extend time, and it allows them to just keep going and going. But the creativity comes when you reduce the money. So with AppSumo, we were spending almost over $250,000 a month in advertising.
Yeah.
And when we cut that down to now about $10,000 a month, you actually have to, well, shit, I want the same results or more. How do I be creative?
Yeah.
Right, so with the entrepreneur, instead of you have 3 months to validate your business and see if people want it, spend a week.
Yeah.
Spend a weekend. Spend tonight. Like literally after the show today, I think it ends all at 9 o'clock. Go and finish the validation that you've been having on your checklist. And the fact that you only have 3 hours to do it, like we're going to do today with some of them, will shift your mindsets. One major thing, 2 other things I really want to highlight is accountability.
Yep.
I'll tell a depressing story. Kind of 2 weeks ago, we brought in 5 entrepreneurs to the AppSumo office in Austin. We walked them through their business. We made sure it was what they want to be doing. We literally mapped out what they were going to be doing, their due dates, their commitments. And then 2 days ago, we emailed them and said, all right, guys, we gave you everything you need. We gave you the blueprints. We walked you through it. You kicked ass, right? Like, we feel really good. This is what makes us feel good as well, seeing you guys get the results. And can anybody guess? Can you guys guess what happened after 2 weeks?
Nothing.
Can we all do it at the same time? 1, 2, 3.
They failed.
That was weak. Nothing. What's that weak as shit? 1, 2, 3.
Nothing.
That was better. That was like happy birthday at a restaurant. They're like, happy birthday.
Yes. Next time, notice that at restaurants, the birthday song. But nothing happened. Nothing happened, and it was really disappointing.
Yeah.
And so, what I've noticed that's a key thing for people that'll break through the inflection point or when there's a little bit of hardship is accountability.
Yeah.
So a real accountability, not like, oh, you didn't do it, whatevs.
Yeah.
Right? Someone who's like, hey, what happened today?
Yeah.
And hey, maybe you need a punishment.
How have you seen that done for entrepreneurs? Like, what's a good way to set that up besides having Noah Kagan kick you in the ass?
I'd love to kick some ass.
He's an ass
That'd be kind
kicker.
of funny. I've never kicked anyone else on air. I think there's 2 ways. So each person has different ways of being.
Checklist.
Dude, done. I had Noah's dream.
I'm all about fulfilling dreams today.
Dude.
All right.
Thanks, bud. So I think there's 2 ways of accountability. There's a positive and a negative, and it depends on the person. Mm-hmm. So I swing both ways. I can do it either positive or negative. I've read some books recently. I think one of them was Drop Dead Healthy, where he was talking.
Yeah, AJ Jacobs.
Yeah. So for him, he actually said that he had a check for $1,000 for the Nazi party if he ate dried mango.
Sound familiar, guys? Yeah.
Did you guys talk about this?
No. So stick.com with 2 Ks at the end allows you to choose an anti-charity.
So there's so that's the negative motivation and it has to be painful. That's the real thing. Because if it's like $10, then I'm like, fine, $10. It doesn't really bother me. But if it's something I would think about. There's also Lyft app, Lyft.do, which is a positive reinforcement. That's a really great one. You can use it every day. You just check in. Like I've been doing meditation for 45 days. I stopped now, but for 45 days I did it, and now I don't need Lyft. Yeah. And so the negative one is the consequence. The positive is Lyft, or I'd say small wins for accountability. Yeah. So what I do every morning is I do a Gebby. Do you know what a Gebby is?
No.
So I have a health coach.
Sounds profane.
It's evolved over time. So I work with Adam from mybodytutor.com. Okay. And every morning, like clockwork, he emails me a Gebby. Gratitude, exercise, breakfast, you. And this is what so I'm a positive reinforcement person. So what that means is every morning I write 3 gratitude things. Huh. So one of my gratitudes was I'm excited to be on this show.
Cool.
Right?
Thank you for coming. Thank you. I'm excited to have you here, man.
And then my exercise today is weights. So I'm pre-committing to weights. We have a gym back here. My breakfast was an egg white omelet with a little bit, 1 piece of dry wheat toast. And then my you today was making this a great segment for everybody watching, for yourself. You. So how am I doing me today? Cool. Right, and so I found the Gebby to be, I've been working with Adam, and I found that to be a small win each morning where I say, here's the one thing for me today that I'm going to do that pushes me forward.
I love it. Why is it Gebby if it's Gebu?
Gebby, gratitude, exercise, breakfast, you.
Oh yeah, I can't spell.
Yeah, it is you.
The language guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, just a heads up, we have about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, cool.
With Noah.
So
total or to get to the case studies?
Oh yeah, exactly. Until we get
okay, we're good. Can I make one point real quick?
Yeah, please do.
So one thing that I did that really helped me when I was building my businesses, and still to this day when I'm working with startups, is I keep a swipe file. It's an old term for copy editors. So they would find an ad that convinced them to buy something, and they would take it and they'd analyze it and figure out why it got them to buy. Another way to go about that, so I'm kind of a sucker for like good infomercials. I love them. They're so split tested, or like 90-second spots. Like the ones that you see running all the time are working because those are expensive. okay? So the ones that run for a really long time, like Bowflex, P90X, whatever. I would buy these products, not because I cared about the products at all necessarily. I wanted to know the script they used on the phone, the upsells, the cross-sells, when it got to me, who it got shipped by, the follow-up, and I would track all of that stuff. So for that reason alone, this guy knows his stuff. You should definitely sign up for AppSumo. Go to appsumo.com and sign up just to see what they send you, how they pitch it. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
emulate. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. Anyway.
One thing to be considered to that is just don't be absolute. So what works for us may not work for you. So be willing to open-minded to try things out. Let me just run through a few other common entrepreneur issues.
Yeah.
So in terms of Gebby, what I wanted to re-encourage for you is small wins. I have a friend, Austin, who I was hanging out with in New York, and he just gets overwhelmed where he has this fantasy out here, but he's so hard on today. So pick one small thing today. That's it. And make it really small. Like every morning I wake up and I say, what is one thing today to make today great? And it could literally be having a latte. It could be something as trivial as like, I want to be able to high five 4 people. So get some small wins. Fear of failure. This is a huge one for entrepreneurs where they're very afraid.
Yeah.
And what they do is they actually put their afraidness in a co-founder I need, or the designer in this country.
That's a really good point.
I don't have the money.
The solution.
And what happens?
Panacea.
Yeah. It's fascinating because once it fails, it's not them, it's that other thing. And so the one thing I'd encourage anybody starting a business, or if you're on the chat room, take it on yourself, the failure, and know that it's going to happen. And the fact that you know it's going to happen reduces that anxiety or the fear of it. So what I wanted to do is, I wanted everyone on the air, in chat room, in the internet world, to fail, right? I want you to get one failure. So here's what I was thinking of this morning. I want you to email me. It's hi.noah@appsumo.com. Email me, and I'm not going to respond to you. I'm not going to respond to anybody, right? And if you,
hi Noah
at appsumo.com.
Okay.
If you can get me to respond to you, I'll give you $100 cash, right? Yeah. No one's going to do it because you're all going to fail. But can anyone get through? Can anyone actually get through to want me to respond to your email, or even So
you're going to get an auto response with 50 AppSumo products.
No, I'm kidding. But I think the thing I want you to do is, so if it's not me, or there's a site called Rejection Therapy, what you need to do today is go get rejected. And go realize that you get rejected. I've done it. I've had a lot of failure. It's like my specialty.
I have a good one.
Yeah.
So there are actually, I put some of them in the 4-Hour Chef actually. There are phone numbers called rejection phone numbers that you can dispense to people at like bars you don't want to talk to ever again.
Yeah.
And you're like, here's my number, and then they call and say like, you've been rejected, sorry. And so you should find one of those online and give it to one of your friends.
Done. Even try something rejection small that like you have to push your comfort zone. It's when your heart beats a little bit faster, and then you get through it. It's like the gym, that last rep, and you get through it, and you're like, oh, that's where the muscle grows.
Yep. That's
where you're able to persevere and have your business start, and you actually be like, all right, this business sucks, and I need to kill it, or I need to move on to something else.
Yep. And what I found, and we're going to jump to Seth in just a minute, but for inoculating yourself against that fear of loss, of failure, especially for things outside of your control, I always talk about it, but I'll talk about it again, is Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. Just like training yourself. I've given hundreds of copies of this book away. Seneca shows up a lot in the 4-Hour Chef, actually. But the ability to inoculate yourself against fear by training. So for instance, like spending 4 or 5 days, not even that much, 2 days a month where you eat the cheapest food, wear the cheapest clothing, don't use transportation, then you ask yourself, all along, is this the condition I so feared?
Totally.
And then your fear of failure, like, this isn't so bad, I can do fine.
Yeah.
So let's, on that note, the condition, perhaps Seth is so feared coming up here. Just kidding. You look fearless. So let's jump into it. Come on up, and we'll segue to looking at some companies.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Are you kidding?
Thank you.
So what business are we trying to start today?
Well, the business that I'm starting is a biodegradable toothbrush business.
How does the audience feel about that? What's your first impression, or what's your first feeling? Nothing. Okay, so they didn't do anything.
Okay.
No, that's something. Okay. And so what's the problem? Is it that people don't have toothbrushes? The electric toothbrush isn't good enough?
So the problem we're solving is that we want to give toothbrushes to families in the developing world.
Okay. So we talked about this yesterday a little bit.
Yeah.
So how much is a toothbrush?
How much is a toothbrush?
Like the cheapest of toothbrush.
$2.
The cheapest a toothbrush? Like I get them free at the dentist.
Okay, then it's free.
Well, no, you said it was 28 cents, right?
To manufacture toothbrushes, to me, in a sense.
And then you said yesterday, how many people did you want to give toothbrushes to?
100,000.
Okay, so 28 cents times 100,000 is?
28,000.
Okay. So this is what I think what's really interesting in that when you are trying to start your business, what's the real problem? Because your problem is not that you want people to have healthy teeth here, you actually just want to get $28,000 to help people abroad.
Sure.
Well, and so this is actually a key thing. What is it you actually want to accomplish? Is there a problem here if you
I want to accomplish creating an incredible company that contributes to the world.
Now we're getting somewhere, right? And so with the toothbrushes, like, tell me how many have you sold so far? Because I know you've been working on it for about how long?
About 9 months, and we've sold 0 toothbrushes.
And how much have you spent working on or starting this business?
About $5,000.
$5,000 in almost a year?
Yeah.
How many people in the audience or online can relate to this? I know I can. Yeah. I've spent way more time, way more money and time. Yeah? Really? Wow. I wasn't expecting that many hands here. So the problem with the toothbrush is what specifically with the toothbrush are you trying to do?
Well, so basically the problem I've been having is I've gone through the whole process of raising capital and saying, oh, I've got to order this big amount of toothbrushes. I've got to order 40,000 toothbrushes, and that's going to cost me 20 grand to start up, and creating this kind of dream about what I need to start the company.
And so what have you been doing for 9 months? Like, what's been going on?
Well, actually,
highlight reel.
It was research, design, development, and creating the best toothbrush in the world. And then I actually partnered with a dentist and got to have a deeper knowledge of the problem of oral health care. And so, yeah, that's what I've been working on.
And we're still, after 9 months and all this.
And after 9 months, I still have no toothbrushes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
just to add one thing here, like you're in the hot seat. This is a tough place to be.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to
definitely.
give you credit for.
This is
No, 'cause
hard.
this is
and he
hard.
jumped right into it.
This is hard.
First of all,
And
I just
Noah
like
doesn't,
loosen up a little
put
bit.
on kid gloves. So no. This is a good thing though. I just
Yeah.
want to point out the obvious for people at home because this is not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, and these guys are amazing, and I just feel like I just want to say I'm really happy to be here going through this process. Even though I'm tense right now.
We've just made a lot of mistakes.
And we
in a
just
very
jumped
narrow-
right into it. I'm like,
Let's do it. I am going to get up and kick you in the head, so please move your face closer. No.
I don't think so.
No. We're good.
do you need a hug just to slow it down?
Okay.
All right, come here. All right. I thought, because we only have 15 minutes.
These guys are intense. I mean-
No. This is like a 30-second aside. I just want to point it
It's
out.
perfect, yeah.
I think
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, man, that was good. The key thing is my only goal is if you're successful.
Right.
If you prove me wrong and go make a lot of money and it works, that's great. But for me, what I would encourage you and anybody watching in the audience is how do you validate so you're not wasting another 9 months?
Exactly.
And you're not, Insanity is doing that same thing over and over and over. So, some of the things we talked about is that, maybe we'll identify some of the issues that have been going on. So one of them is just we're doing all the other stuff, playing business.
Exactly.
Instead of actually seeing if people want the product. So what can we do right now? This is something we talked about. I'd love to explore it. You want to sell biodegradable toothbrushes, right? So who's the customer? So what's the problem is the toothbrush that helps people, that's a little more environment friendly. Who's the person that wants to buy that?
Well, I believe the customer is someone that really cares about helping other people, and that also has kind of a higher ethics, or just wants to make a purchase that it's a sustainable purchase. And I kind of have thought my customer is 18 to 30 years old, female, Whole Foods shopper. That's who I thought my customer was.
Okay, so it's too broad. So you can go to Facebook ads and then look up how many people are in this category. The really key thing is that the smaller the audience, the better.
Yep.
And my favorite analogy of that is that if you had a knee problem, would you want to go to a doctor or a knee doctor? Who would you go to?
Knee doctor.
Okay, someone said a doctor once, and I was like, really? I was like, just go to the knee doctor. You want to go to the specialist, right? Yeah. So if you're selling a biodegradable toothbrush, I don't see many college kids really giving a shit. Maybe a few hippies from Berkeley where I went to school, right? But yeah, exactly. But the perfect customer is my Aunt Rhonda. My Aunt Rhonda lives in Berkeley Hills. She has Tom's toothpaste. They've had organic, for years now before it was cool to be organic. And so what I'm trying to encourage you is say, you need to be as specific as possible. Woman, 2 children, lives in San Francisco, makes $60,000 to $90,000. My aunt's a child mediator. And so the more specific it is, the actually more specifically you can communicate with them, and the more specifically you can understand them and sell to them and seeing if they, to buy your product.
And the more inexpensively you can test. once you know exactly who you're targeting. Like
Yeah.
hitting People magazine, that's expensive.
Exactly.
Reaching that target through finding, let's say, people who are fans of this, and this page, much less expensive.
Exactly. So you can find them on Facebook, you can find them in different places. We can talk about that, but how can we, so let's do a time limitation. That's something that you've been struggling with. How could you validate right now if people want this or not? And I know you did something earlier today, but what can you do right now to see if people actually want this as a business?
So to basically ask people in the online audience if they believe in my product to buy it.
What does that mean?
So what that means is the idea in my head about the business model I want is that for $20 you sign up and you get 4 toothbrushes, and we mail 1 toothbrush to your best friend to kind of spread the message about the company. So that's 5 toothbrushes for America, and then we also donate 5 toothbrushes to a family in the developing world. So that's the offer.
Okay, so why would I want to spend $20? Like, what's special about your toothbrush? Just to give me.
So, and my toothbrush, I worked with dentists and did tons of research, and really created incredible ergonomics, feelless toothbrush.
Well, this is not the biodegradable one, though, right?
So this was the model that I started with. That's actually, I hand carved this out of wood to like find the perfect shape, and then, with my design team, we 3D modeled and created the actual toothbrush.
I'm going to cut you off. I'm not sorry.
No, that's fine.
The point is that it's biodegradable, right?
Okay,
Like
so it's a
you can,
biodegradable
you're
toothbrush.
driving, you brush your teeth, you throw out the
Okay,
window.
like the
it's
main
good.
features of the toothbrush, it's biodegradable, and also we found these bristles which are called nano bristles. They're really fine and they're tapered, and
Can I see that other one
Yeah.
for a second?
they
So,
actually
okay.
feel like you're
All right,
flossing.
I know. Okay.
Okay.
So how do we? Tim, I want you to. How does that one feel?
So this is maybe not germane. I think it is germane. I think you should test a few things.
Okay.
I love how this one feels. Now, all right, so where I'm going with this is, you could use something like unbounce.com or whatever to do landing pages and test different offers, different whatever. You could use Facebook, Google Ads, et cetera, to test for click-throughs. I love this thing. Maybe your product, I can't tell you because you'd have to test it, but maybe it's a $40 hand-carved toothbrush.
Tim, do you have your wallet with you right now?
No, I don't. But
Do you have your wallet in the building?
I have my wallet in the building.
So this is where instead of waiting to go home, waiting to make ads, waiting to make even the landing page or wait for anything else.
But I would buy a beautiful hand-carved toothbrush with a replaceable.
How much would you be willing to pay?
$30, $50.
Would you give them the money today?
Sure.
This is you asked. Why am I asked? I don't get the money. You asked it.
No will take his customary
I think it's an
15%
interesting
commission.
concept,
Right.
and I love the fact that Tim
He's right here.
is saying boom, he wants to buy that. The reason my rebuttal to that is that I don't want to create limited edition hand carved fancy toothbrushes for the super elite.
Well, hold on. But you could still, so what I would encourage you, because I know the guys at Tom's Shoes, right? I know people who have similar models, and you don't have to make it 1 for 1. You can make it 1 for 50. Right? So I think that the point being, though, I don't want to.
I do like that because that makes me 50 times better.
I'll tell you. But just think 1 for 1. You have a lot of competition for mind share. You're competing against a lot of people. 1 for 50.
Boom.
Different story. So anyway, I don't want to jump in.
No, I think that's the exact point. So I think the key thing to note, people, everyone watching, is if you're selling something like the biodegradable toothbrush and you're taking 9 months to manufacture it, and it's all these other things, and did you notice how you're talking about all that? You let Tim. Yes. Why not?
Okay.
Do you act?
What was that?
Well, let's do the money in a second. But that's the really interesting thing. You've done all this 9 months of work. And this is what happened yesterday. He brought me this toothbrush. I felt it. Do you want to give it to the audience to feel as well?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
You feel that toothbrush, and you're just like, this is
So
different.
hold it like this, like you're actually brushing your teeth, because then you can kind of feel what it feels like.
It's like nothing I've ever felt. And you could even put limited edition number whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Number 1 for 50.
Yeah.
And then the thing is that people want that. In that you're trying to do the hard one, but you have something that people are responding to. Yeah. And so,
Seth, I'll jump in and point out that a bunch of people online, before Noah or Tim even started saying anything about the wooden toothbrush, there were multiple people who jumped in oh my gosh, I want one of those. I would pay money for that wooden toothbrush. That's amazing.
Let's take advantage of this. Let's take advantage.
Okay.
So one, you need to ask Tim for the money. Don't say, Tim, how much would you like to pay? That's one of the worst questions ever. Right? So tell him,
sure.
Tim,
Tim, okay, so would you buy this?
No. Would you buy? It's this. You're selling him the product.
Okay. My toothbrush is $50. Would you buy it?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. My first customer, Tim Ferriss.
So hold on. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
No, actually, hold on. Keep it going. So 1 for 50. Is there anyone online, like, let's sell the toothbrush, and then you go. So the point being is not to just go sell a lot of things that you haven't made or any of that stuff. It's to prove that validation that you want it and being honest. Like,
Well, can I do something?
yeah, please.
So, do you have an email address that you're comfortable giving out?
Sure.
Okay. What is it?
SethBrooklyn2@gmail.com.
How do you spell that?
SETH Brooklyn 2.
Brooklyn, like the town,
like the city in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brooklyn2@gmail.com.
Number 2?
Yes.
Sorry, the 4-hour workweek guy has sensitive
Yeah.
numbers. Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Seth, Brooklyn, like the city, to the number 2 at gmail.com. All right. Anybody who wants to buy that for, let's just say $50,
Okay.
emails you.
Hold on. Can we
that'd be
go
great.
further than that?
Yeah, let's go further.
What's your PayPal? What's your PayPal email?
It's the same thing.
So don't email him.
Okay.
PayPal him $50, and then
Sure.
and then you figure out how many you could donate.
Okay.
For that $50
Yeah.
after your profit. So PayPal him $50, SethBrooklyn2@gmail.com, and you need it. Basically, the validation is the hypothesis. If I can sell 10 toothbrushes, I will make these toothbrushes. I will donate them, and then you can actually start thinking about how do I scale this out. You don't
Yeah,
need to worry about any of that other stuff.
sounds great.
So PayPal SethBrooklyn2.
Yeah,
at
well, and we
gmail.com.
can make it like a Kickstarter thing, just so you don't get into trouble with like dry testing and stuff
I
like
think
that.
so. That was the question we asked yesterday. You can't do Kickstarter with stuff in your mouth or stuff you inject.
No. What I mean by that is, let's just say, how much money do you need to actually build a bunch of those? Or carve them, I guess. I mean, whether it's labor or otherwise. Like, how many toothbrushes at $50 do you need to sell? Point being, I just don't want to get him in trouble with dry testing if he takes money and then it takes a long time to ship, if he doesn't have the legal protection of a Kickstarter.
100.
100. Okay.
Okay.
So if he gets 100 orders
Right.
at $50 a piece,
Right.
it's going to go into production. If he doesn't, he's going to return the money.
Sure. That
Cool.
sounds good.
All right. There we go.
Done. What are they called? I'm excited.
It's
Yeah.
called mola, and that's Latin for molar.
Nice.
yeah.
So
Beautiful.
he got his first customer today. Hopefully, a few other customers online, and you got started.
Awesome.
And so I think that maybe we should just recap some of the takeaways here. In that, did you see how Tim wanted it? Like, what made you feel that? Like, what
As
was
soon as I've touched it. So, and I just want to point out another thing that's really common. Like, this is not unique to you.
Yeah, totally.
Like, people will aggressively say no to what their customers want because they have a fixed idea of what they're going to build.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I touched it, I was just like, oh God. Like, there is a lack of that like tactile experience. Most people use their thumbs for like the space bar and that's it. So you get something that's handmade and wooden and it's a very visceral thing.
What do you think you could teach someone else who's in the chat room that's maybe going through something similar where they're trying to work on their business, they've spent months and time and it's not happening? What's the difference between that and like maybe this experience that you just felt with Tim or the toothbrushes?
Well, so I definitely wanted to mention to everybody who's online, who's an entrepreneur, and especially a designer entrepreneur, is the breakthrough that I had talking with Noah, because he's an amazing, brilliant guy, is that last night we had a short discussion, and I really got held back because I just love my design so much that I want to sell this. And so it kind of, it was, I made it too precious. And the reality is if I really want to just sell biodegradable toothbrushes, I can get these for wholesale at Alibaba and just sell them.
Yeah.
So if that's the goal, it's letting go of your baby and just moving forward with the business and making a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to do good, like I said, it doesn't need I think in a way it's actually better if you're not stuck in a one-for-one model. Like, make a bunch of money, you can do whatever you want with the money.
Exactly. Maybe something to add is if you wanted to stick with just the biodegradable toothbrush, you know, as even a hypothesis, if you want to validate, literally go to the dentist, get free toothbrushes, doesn't cost you anything, spray paint them or paint them with nail polish, go to Whole Foods where you think your customers, stand by the toothpaste aisle and sell your biodegradable toothbrushes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So you can do it in person, which is actually really underrated, super underrated, because people will ask questions. The other way is if you created a mock-up page and take them through all the steps, you just don't necessarily collect the money.
That's a lot of work. That's
It is a lot.
I would almost say, like, one of the things we talked about yesterday was maybe, like, on your Facebook page, you have how many friends?
500.
Like, do you guys have friends? Right?
At least 10 or 11.
Do you guys have Facebook?
Yeah. I mean, the mock-up is good, and I'm not hating on it. I think that's good for, like, an iPhone app.
Yeah.
But with the toothbrush, you could literally put out, I'm making a custom-made biodegradable toothbrush friends. If you shop at Whole Foods, PayPal me the money, I'm trying this out. And just be as honest as possible and say, hey, if I don't sell 10, I'm going to return the money and we're not going to do it.
Yep.
And literally in a day, you have your validation versus the 9 months and 5,000.
And never ask people if they would buy. It's not the same. Because your friends, it'll be like the mom response. They'll be like, oh, that's such a great idea. I would totally buy it. And then you're like, oh, good news, I have one here. And they're like, yeah, times are tight. Got lentils to buy. All right, so we're gonna make, I think, a transition here, or you have a hand
We
up?
are going to make a transition, but we just want to let you know, Seth, you have some additional orders coming in. You've got Ralph just said, I've just sent 40 euros. I love the toothbrush. Greetings from Germany.
Awesome.
So,
First order and first international order. You're a global corporation.
I'm like, awesome.
Cool. All right.
so we're going to move, yes.
Yeah,
great.
we're gonna move on
Thank
to
you
round
guys.
2.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Don't
And-
forget those bad boys.
I just have to say something really quick. Can I say
Please.
something?
Yeah.
Basically, I got to look at the book, and I think it should be called The 4-Hour Life. But no, seriously, I'm a visual learner, and that's you keep on saying it's so beautiful, it's got 1,000 images, but it's incredible for learning because it's visual.
Cool.
So I just
Awesome.
wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks
There's more
to Jessie.
coming in too,
Thanks to
Seth.
Jessie, the main designer behind it. She's amazing. Cool. Well, we're going to move to victim number 2. Come on down.
I'm going to be friendlier this
No,
time.
no. Don't be. Don't be.
What's up?
This is the good cop, bad cop thing.
Yeah.
It's working. It's working. All right.
Okay. How are you, Corey?
Oh God, it's like when you're like going to approach a girl and you wait 30 minutes before you do it. That's how I feel right now because I knew I was coming up.
He is a sexy man.
Thank you.
Yes,
We're wearing
sexy
my
man.
green shirt today, my sexy green. So what are we up to today? What are we talking about?
Okay, I developed an app. Well, I outsourced the development, but came up with the idea, and it's a scary prank app. So the problem I'm solving is people want to prank their friends, and an iPhone's a good way to do it.
Okay. And then so why did you want to do this business?
To retire my mom, it's the most basic form.
What's that about?
Okay, so we grew up pretty poor. Slept on a futon
This
with
is
my
the
mom
awe part
till I
where you
was.
guys all awe. You can do it online too.
I slept on a futon with my mom till I was 14. Like my whole family are like coal miners from Nova Scotia. My mom and dad have like an education of grade 7, grade 8. So, and I've never started a business before, and just had that Harajuku moment where it was like, enough is enough. I got to do something. Because my mom's 50, no retirement plan. So I set out on a 24-month challenge to do that. And I spent 10 months doing what I'm good at, which is door-to-door sales. And I'll sell anything. I'm not afraid to do the boiler room style. And
What were you selling?
holes in the ground.
What's the whole, I mean, like
aeration,
grates? Oh,
aeration
great,
with
aeration.
the machine pokes holes in the grass. And coffee. I was on your webinar back in the time, and I was like, "Do you know what cordyceps are?" And I was selling tea with cordyceps and coffee with reishi. And those two things. So I earned $61,000 in 10 months doing that, and the whole time I was just researching like crazy. I read like 33 books, including all the ones you recommended, like Venture Deals, Founder Stories, 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, Letters from a Stoic, and your books, of course. So I started off, and I've been self-documenting the process, and I reached out to my former boss, who is a 10-time world kickboxing champion. That was kind of cool.
Sparring with that guy.
And he recommended 2 books, and one was yours, and that's
cool.
kind of what got me into it. So.
So how did you pick this as the problem to solve, or how did you say like?
The app business in general?
Yeah.
Your post on Chad Moretta.
App Empire, yeah.
I was looking for something that I would enjoy doing, waking up every morning, but also something that I find fun, because I'm a geek at heart.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about yesterday. How did you validate and figure out what to build, like which app to build and what thing to build?
I was looking at different categories that I could make for quickly and also for a low amount of money to start up. And entertainment seemed like the proper way to do it. Like there was so many different apps from like small different companies and quick, like a lot of downloads too. And so I was looking and trying to find an app that was already in existence, already in the top category, so there's a proven market for it, and then find a way to innovate an app and whether I could do it for low cost and quick. So I saw these scary prank apps in the top category, and like they were really terrible, like just really, really bad. They weren't scary at all. Like I tested them out on friends, and they're like, "Dude, like take your phone back. What are you doing? This is terrible. Like pay me for that loss of life in time." So I came up with ways to innovate the app and make it better for the user experience. And like I don't know, do you want me to show you? Or?
Well, no, so you said something yesterday. Like, how did you figure out what to build, right? Because you said that you read these apps, but you were talking about the reviews.
Yes. So I looked at customer reviews similar to how you did, and pinpointed things that people were having like trouble points that they didn't like about the app. And it's really crazy how unresponsive some of these app companies are to their customers. Like they're getting all their feedback via the App Store, and they're saying like change this, and they just don't do it, which is good for people like me because now I can make better apps. Oh, there's my website. Sweet. That's a mock-up. Just anyway. So I was looking at user comments and finding out how to do that. And
So that's a really key thing I want to highlight is that your customers are already out there, or somebody else's customers that you want are already out there telling you what they want.
Yep.
You just have to actually go look. It could be on Amazon, it could be searching Facebook, searching Twitter,
Yep.
looking for the word sucks. Like when we did marketing at Mint, did marketing at Mint,
Smart.
we looked Quicken sucks, and then we went and did marketing with all those blogs that were commenting about Quicken. So I think that's a really key takeaway for everyone listening.
And just to add to that, so I'm not sure how many people out there are familiar with Y Combinator, YC, Paul Graham. They've funded 400 plus startups at this point and helped nurture and build them. One of the questions they ask when they're interviewing co-founders a lot of the time is, what are your prospective customers currently cobbling together as makeshift solutions to your problem? So people are trying to solve a problem, but doing this taking in this MacGyver approach, what is it? And in any case.
Well, so it was pretty amazing. Like, how long have you been working on this, and how much has it cost you so far?
3.5 weeks, and it cost $3,500 when it's all said and done.
Okay, and then how much longer until it's actually out?
3 days just to fix a couple bugs, and then we submit it to the App Store. And there's a website that tells you the average review time, which is 9 days. So if it gets approved, which I've read all the guidelines, I believe it will, and there's apps already out there like it that have been approved, I would say within 2 weeks, 12 to 14 days.
Ideally 2 weeks. So how do you know that people are going to want this?
Because there's already apps that are similar that people are paying for that have made it to the top 50. And if you make it in the top 50 in the App Store, that's really big considering there's over 700,000 apps in the App Store now.
Okay. So I wanted to just highlight a few examples of one, when you're trying to do your validation or get your business started and you're uncertain if it's going to work for sure. So number one, look for comparables, and maybe in comparables in a separate sector. So what I mean by that is you can go to the App Store and be like, people are like, well, that one's not as scary, but you know what? It's out there and people are using it, and they can always improve it. Like, if you guys remember the first iPhone, it looked like shit. Or the first iPod.
Yeah.
Remember the scroll wheel?
Oh, yeah.
It was thick. It was like 40 pounds. And then now, you have these iPhones that are, clean and light. The fact is they got it out, and then they can now innovate on it. So that's number one. Number two, look at YouTube, right? So look at another vertical, another comparable industry, and seeing if people are actually wanting it. So on YouTube for like AppSumo for Halloween, we put a YouTube video up, which is a really funny one, and then all of a sudden it scares you.
This is okay.
Did you? Yeah.
This is similar one with the maze. They're like,
That's
follow
the
the maze,
original.
follow the maze, and you see people like backflipping out of their chairs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
It's so funny.
The app is actually, I want to show the app, but how would you, like now in retrospect, how can we validate it right now? Instead of waiting, because right now it's going to take you $3,500, that's an extra 2 months, and then 2 months, which is 2 months for your mom, right? Like how could you have cut that down to today, the time limitation concept?
That was a tough thing for me because apps, there's development time. There's not really a way with my expertise where I can just make a prototype in a day that just is like really bare bones and give it to someone and say, hey, like, are you scared or something like that? But
So maybe let me show. Can I show you?
yeah.
So instead of worrying about building an app or doing this stuff, there's a site there's one that's called 520or90.com. It's actually a Seattle-based company, and they basically help you tell which freeway to take, the 520 or 90, and they just drew it up, and then they just showed that as an image on their phone. They didn't build anything out. But so Corey's app, well, I'll just show you. Basically, I'm gonna validate for it. I'm just gonna make it up.
All right.
So Corey's app, instead of building out an app, waiting for the store, paying $3,500, it scares you when you're doing something. So what you could do that'd be fun is, so Tim, can you add in, actually, I don't know if I have your phone number, so do you think you could, actually, can you just add that in real fast? Sorry.
This Is that
That was
validation?
scary. That was scary.
Is that validation?
That was good.
I was like scared to do it. I was like,
Well, I was expecting like something to come out of the phone, and then it came this way, so I was just like, it's kind of like the Kelly Starrett wake-up call.
you with me? You good?
I'm good.
Namaste, everyone.
Yeah.
Breathe, let's all breathe. Take a chat room, breathe. Okay, we're back. So the key thing there is that it's not, one, that was fun as hell. Today was good day, check.
Yeah.
Scared Tim Ferriss. So,
That's my you.
yeah.
Scare the shit out of
You
Tim
was
Ferriss.
accomplished. So I think the key thing is that it's okay to do 2 months. It's okay to spend the $3,500, that's fine, but like, that was 10 seconds, right? And then we know that, it's like, so Tim, do you want, does Tim want to scare someone else? Hell yes, he wants to do that now to someone else.
But you could just, you could do that and be like, would that be, would you like to do that if you could automate it and just hand it to someone?
So Corey built this app. It's got 14 days, and I've read a lot of stories where it takes longer. It's like months or weeks for get the app live. And so what I want to highlight for the viewers and the audience is, and talk with you as well, is how do you guarantee that when it comes out, it's successful? So that you're guaranteed to be able to help your mom. And this is what we highlighted yesterday. What can we do now, or what can you do in those 14 days to make sure that it's guaranteed?
Collect people's emails that would be interested in purchasing it, and message them when it's out.
So this is a key thing we did at Mint.com. We've done at AppSumo, and I think what Corey needs to be doing with this phone. So what he told me yesterday, though, is that he's working on his next app already.
Yeah.
So instead of putting in any oxygen, he's kind of like, oh, this will be out there. Let's hope it does well, right? Let's put our finger up to the wind, and then I'm moving on to the next thing instead of really putting in oxygen and time. And he has, he's gotten like what, 4,000 people on Twitter and 5,000 on Facebook?
6,000 on Twitter and 4,000 on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. When people put out tweets or Facebook posts, it's always depressing how few people actually click or respond.
Yeah.
Right? So how many people do you need to make it a top 10 app? It's actually, and this is the key takeaway, is that 1, guarantee your success. 2, you need to work backwards from a specific objective.
Yep.
So many people are like, I want my app to be popular.
What does that mean?
That's exactly right. Right? So what does popular mean? So I would go look on stories on, search Google, top apps. What does it take? Look at those top apps, see if you can figure out any articles they've shared about what's a number for top apps. Okay. And then you work backwards. All right, well, I need 50,000 downloads.
Yep. That was my goal.
So it's 50,000. All right. And so now instead of working on your next app, how do you plan on getting 50,000 downloads?
Well, my original plan was when there's the 9 days of submission process, I was going to start releasing marketing material. Do you want me to tell you what stuff I was going to do?
Yeah, there's other people online. I'd like to know.
Sure. So we were going to release an actual video similar to the game that was on the computer, and there would be a scare in the middle of it, and then I would pass it through my channels and hope it goes viral.
All right, so let's fix that.
As one.
Are you guys on the computer? Yeah. Can you go to Google Docs? Yes. All right, so let's just do it right now. So instead of waiting, so let's say Corey needs 50,000 downloads, which is probably 100,000 emails. Yeah. That's obviously a little bigger, assuming half of the people get the product. So instead of waiting all this time, hoping it goes live, doing viral, I have a lot of people now who are like, I want to do viral marketing. Like they want to, it's hard. Yeah. Well, you could go to Google Forms, literally go to Google Forms and say, create a form. It's literally what's your email and a box, right?
I'm saying they can put it out on the creativeLIVE Twitter.
Yeah. So on creativeLIVE Twitter, they'll do it, but literally go to Google Docs. It's completely free. You put out a form that says, what's your email? Submit your email. Goes to Google Spreadsheet. Free. If it takes you longer than a minute, you probably should not be running a business, right? And then you literally, and we would, if we could, right after this, what's your Twitter handle?
@millionaire by number 25.
@millionairebuy25.com. Twitter.com/@millionairebuy25. So there'll be a Google form link there, and say, just give me your email. Hey everyone, we're launching soon. Put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter. That took you a minute, and you're getting it started. So the big key thing is with the breakthrough here is momentum around that. So have your objective, guarantee success, and start that momentum where you're not like putting it out, and then you start building everything out.
So how would you determine whether it's validated by that? So like, let's say I put it out there, and haven't spent any money on the app yet. The idea seems there. It's and how many would it take to be validated? How many emails would I have to get?
So there's 2 separate things. The email part, they have it up on the screen. The email collection part is that once you validate that people want it, which we've kind of done with Tim.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Do your thing, Tim.
Yep. I have to go take a phone call. No, okay.
No, so the key thing here is that there's two separate pieces. I don't want to get those confused. One is it validated? So we've done it with Tim. You've seen it on YouTube. You've seen that other apps are out there, but they suck. So we have enough pieces where like, and you want it. That's a key thing I hope you guys can all take away as well in the audience. If it's something like I want to cure cancer, like for one day in my life, I want to start a taco stand. Or with AppSumo, I love promoting great products on AppSumo, right? That's what I really want. And so, ideally you want to do validation so you don't waste time and money.
Yep.
But once you validate it, then it's like, all right, let me go build it with minimal time and money as possible. So I think $3,500 for a month of building is reasonable. If you're going on 9 months and $5,000 plus, that's something to be concerned with. The second part of the equation now is how do you guarantee that when you finally finish building that you have the customers in tow? You're not like, oh, I hope I have them.
The app's going to be free. I had in-app purchases so I could get more downloads that way.
Okay. I mean, I think the thing for the audience and for you, what other things would be interesting is collecting emails from putting on Facebook and Twitter. One of the things we discussed yesterday is there's already videos that Tim mentioned that are on YouTube. You could go to those people and start building the relationship and say, hey, I'm going to have a free app that does this too, and I'll put your name in the app.
Yep.
So that they get some of the credit, which is ego for them. But you're not doing it. So many times what people do is they try to, they don't plant their garden.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like, oh, I want to eat now, I'm hungry. But it's like, did you plant anything? Did you start that relationship?
Yep.
So start going out and exploring that. Since you validated it, now let me get the guaranteed success of customers.
Okay.
Cool. I just did a bunch of push-ups. I'm feeling a lot
You better?
now.
You back?
We are going to jump into some questions. So we're going to take questions. I just wanted to reiterate something that Noah said, really important. You have to dig your wells before you're dry, right? Just to use more metaphors. But one of the reasons, for instance, that my books, I think one of the several or many reasons that I think the last two books have done well is that I would reach out to people 6, 9, 12 months before the book ever comes out.
Wow.
And focus on relationships that I would have for years, not transactions. Okay. But in any case, conferences in person, the least crowded channel. Email, phone, hard. Okay. Meeting people in person, not as hard. But let's go to some questions. And where should we go first?
Well, first we would just love to. Well, first of all, thank you, Corey.
Yes, thank
but
you,
also,
Corey.
let's repeat what Noah said for our audience to do, just so we get that in there one more time with regard to the Google form, and so that we get Corey some followers.
Yeah. So, do you want to just tell people?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Well, so the key thing I wanted to highlight is that don't build your product and then go be like, oh, I hope people will come to this, right? It's like having a house party and not sending out any invites. Right? You're just like, oh, please come to my. It's like no one's gonna come. Like I've come home to my apartment, and there's never a hot girl waiting outside my door. It never happens. And so what I have to do, I have to go out and find hot girls. So eventually they come knock on the door. And so the point being is that with Corey, he's got the product. He's waiting around. Instead of moving to the next thing, spend the time to build the audience. So the email thing, they just did it right now. That's a 10-second thing. He's already done stuff on Twitter and Facebook, and he has 4,000, which is like, how did he do it? Yesterday he was mentioning, he just shared how he's building an app.
Yeah.
He was just very candid. You guys all have friends on Facebook. Those are the easiest. If you can't get them and they're interested in what you're doing, if you can't get them, you should definitely quit, right? Like if your own friends and family don't like it. So you have friends and family, you have putting out stuff free, you have collecting emails, going through the people on YouTube. There's a lot of, message boards are a big thing. I love Reddit. There's tons of subreddits like scaring people. I'm sure that's a subreddit category. I'm sure there's blogs on scaring people. I'm sure there's Halloween stuff. Like there's Facebook pages about Halloween and like maybe scary movies. And a lot of it is just building up that audience so that when you finally do launch, like Tim did an exceptional job at this. Like I met Tim a year before his first book came out. Yeah. And he went out and he didn't like hope his book did well. He guaranteed that certain blogs and certain days are going to cover it.
And I knew exactly what my target was in terms of books per week for 2 consecutive weeks. Like it was all very methodical, so I could work backwards. Yeah.
And the key thing I'm suggesting for the email is, I don't think email is best. I think it's whatever will accomplish your goal. So if your objective is, I need to be in the top 10 of 50,000, being on Twitter and Facebook, not everyone's going to click when you post an update. That's true. Right? So how do you ensure, like if I could get 50,000 phone numbers and it's that important to making sure your mom retires, would you call 50,000 people?
100%.
Yeah, so here it's just going to be, what is your email? And then people are going to add in their email address, hit submit, and that's it.
Can I give one? I'll give one tip. I haven't actually wanted to share this one. Instead of what's your email, if you're putting and collecting people's emails, you could always ask, which friend do you normally get scared by? Right? So instead of moving down the chain for like, give me one friend to refer, right, which is the generic question, go up the chain. Be like, who's your creepiest friend? Right? Like, who is the friend? And so you actually find this, as Seth Godin would say, the sneezer.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so you can ask that question to people and say, hey, your friend Jim said I should reach out to you, and here's a free app that he will want you to know about. Now you have 2 people for the price of 1.
Referral, it's good.
Cool.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh, one
Okay. So let's go ahead and take some questions if we're.
Can I just add
if we're
one
good
other
with
thing?
that.
Go look at, so all the ones that are already there, they've already been, the ones that are already in this category, they've been covered on other blogs, right? They've been covered somewhere, probably. If you search Google for them, maybe one.
It's
Just
weird.
work with me here.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Sorry.
Let's say your competition is, they're already covered somewhere else. Go start connecting with those writers before you need them.
Okay.
Before you want to work. So they've already been covered. Be like, hey, this app sucked. Here's this other one. And you start it not like when you need them, but before you need them.
Yeah. Okay. And as you know, you have more of a story, obviously. Media
Awesome.
like stories.
Very cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dude.
Really appreciate that.
Of course.
Very cool, bro.
All right. Questions.
All right, we have about 8 minutes for questions. I know Christina has one has one here, and then we'll take some from the internet. So let's go rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll be fast. Hi, Noah. My name's Christina, and I have a company called Home for the Honeymoon. And basically, we help engaged couples register for the down payment on a house rather than things like toasters and blenders. So the idea is to kind of like revolutionize the traditional wedding registry because people have everything they need, they're getting married later, and demographics have shifted. My question is, how do you decide when your business is validated? Like, it's a bit of a new industry. We're the first of our kind in Canada. There's maybe one other example in the States. So we've had lots of positive feedback. We've had some customers, but we haven't had that kind of breakthrough.
Yep.
So, like, what's the
helped-
litmus test, I guess?
Well, let's simply, have you helped one couple get a down payment?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. And then how long did it take you to do?
The sales cycle is long because finding a house takes oftentimes 6 months, and then you have 6 months to kind of help them raise the down payment. So it's a year cycle.
That sounds long.
Yeah, I know.
So it sounds like
It
you
is.
might, so it sounds like you already know the answer to this. So the validation is that if that's already taken you a year, and I'm guessing you're not making that much per transaction, or are you guys?
Well, it's about $2,000 per transaction because we make our money. Well, basically, the realtor that we refer out to pays us a percentage of the commission they earn.
Okay, I'm confused. So you guys help people get money for their down payments?
Yeah.
Why don't people just send them money directly?
Because we shelter them from the uncomfortable conversation of asking for money. Basically, that's our pitch. Like, you don't want to ask your friends and family for cash, but this is the one time in life where you can do it.
All right, how many people have you helped?
Well, we have about 200 registrants, but we've had about 5 people who've purchased houses through us.
And how long have you been working on it?
About a year and a half that it's been up and running.
Yeah, I would stop.
Yeah. Yeah, you would stop
I would
already.
stop.
Yeah.
Well, and so obviously there's more to it. And you have, the thing is, you already are committed to it sometimes. So
Yeah.
no matter what I say, you're going to have to go experience it. That's a big thing I've realized is that people need to fail or succeed on their own, no matter what I tell you. What I think is interesting is that if you think the real core issue is that people don't want to have the awkward conversation, and there's, I don't know, how many people get married a day in Canada? A lot.
Yeah.
Right? They get married in Canada. Does that happen up there?
Pardon me?
It happens up there, right?
Yeah, it does.
And so,
yeah,
I mean,
it's true. Yeah.
if I were you, you could easily, you can go find 10 people getting married today, and then, or people going that are registering, right?
Yeah.
And then going and seeing if you can help them manually. And if you're having a lot of difficulty in that,
Yeah.
it's kind of going back to what happened with Seth, is that I have this biodegradable toothbrush, and I need to find a manufacturer and all these things, but I kind of got this wooden thing that everyone really wants.
Yeah.
And so there's probably some anomaly with what you're doing with weddings.
Yeah.
That people are like, I don't really have as much of a problem telling them I want money, but I might have this other problem, which there isn't a 2-year cycle or it doesn't take so much work. So coming back to your original question is, validation is that I would almost say when it's simple. When it's like, wow, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy or it's not going to be some work, but it's that it's easy for you to repeat what you're already doing. And it sounds like that's where you're actually struggling with.
And it's not about like getting the word out there, like just not proper marketing.
No, I mean, proper marketing, like marketing to me is like, it's like Whole Foods. When you have a product that people want, marketing accelerates that, but you need to make sure it's something that they want to eat, like a great taco.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you ever want to get a meeting with Noah?
Yeah.
Tacos and burritos. I'm not kidding.
Taco Deli, I swear.
Don't take him out to like a fancy restaurant.
No. Someone sent me a Taco Deli gift card. It's my favorite tacos in the world, and that's a great way for me to remember your name, Todd Stratford.
Yeah.
Like Garrett. I remember they sent it, and now it actually helps separate the people
Awesome.
out.
Nice. All right, so we have a question from Ikarayuki online who asks, most tests need small increments to become successful. What mindset do you need to know when to tweak and when to abandon?
That's a good question. He probably knows the answer. He probably knows the answer, I'd say. Depends on what he's doing. I'd say part of it is like you working on something that you actually want for yourself. It's really hard. It makes it easier to keep going with it and keep trying to experiment. What is it that's going to make other people want this as well? Like I put on a conference back in the day, and I think the key thing that I took away was in this conference, one, how do I break even? That's it, right? So as long as I don't lose money, okay, cool. And 2, how do I make this a conference that I want to go to?
Yeah.
So as long as I'm there and attending it and having a great time, I don't really care if anyone else came. And then subsequently, I made $50,000 putting on that event. So I think if you make something you want and you're not spending more than 2 months or maybe $5,000, like that's at a point where you need to probably stop and reevaluate what you're doing.
Yeah, I would also just add to that that many people make the mistake of thinking they have to test sequentially when you can test in parallel. So you don't have to test one landing page, wait 2 weeks, then test another landing page. You can test 10 landing pages at once.
Yeah.
And there are very easy ways to do that.
And really ensure that you're not playing business. Because a lot of people, what they do is they maybe read the article on Tim's site that I was writing, and then they're like, well, I put up a thing on Craigslist, and I bought ads. And well, it's like, what's your actual business?
Right.
What's your actual thing you're trying to accomplish? Are you trying to teach basketball like Rick, who's going to come on today? Have you taught one person? All right, have you taught the second person? But I need scale. Don't say the S word. But it has to be an iPhone app. Why does it have to be an iPhone app? Yeah. Right? What are you actually solving? And making sure that you validated that enough people want it and will pay for it for you to then expand it beyond that.
Okay, we just have a couple more minutes for questions, but another one is, how do you know what metrics to measure when testing a business idea? So what are the top 5 metrics, or how do you develop what they are?
So that's been an evolution. One, there's none. There are none, right? Like I met the people from Whole Foods, and I asked them, I said, tell me, how do you guys do your marketing in your store? Do you do psychology? Like, are you guys like Vegas? Do you have lights and smells, and you put all the things in different places? They're like, no, we just kind of make the store the way we want to shop. I was like, what? I was like, no. But like, don't you put things on shelves and different things? And I think metrics, they can trick you, right? Where you can look at a metric and it looks good, and we've done this at AppSumo where the metric looked great, but 6 months later, overall metrics are down, and we're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And so ultimately, it's really saying, all right, am I making a profit? Am I enjoying this?
Yeah. And to give just a further reading, Eric Ries has written about vanity metrics versus like practical metrics. I'm not sure what he calls the second set, but so misleading metrics versus helpful metrics, effectively. But just search vanity metrics. Eric Ries, R-I-E-S, mutual friend, lean startup guy.
Yeah.
So he's written about it. That's a good place to.
Totally. The key thing is like give velocity to $1. Make sure that people actually want to give you money for what you're creating, and then you can go explore other things. Yeah. But I would say limit it. One thing I took from Zuckerberg at Facebook is limit it to one metric. So and have one thing that you're really trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. So for instance, I mean, just to add one more thing, at Google, at many other places too, they have like 5 or 7 day active users, uniques over that period of time, and even at like YC, Y Combinator. They're kind of like, it doesn't matter what you measure, but pick one thing so you're trying to improve each week. You have a weekly number. It doesn't really even matter what it is. Just something so that you are able to focus, not run around like a chicken with its head cut off.
I would say, that's a really great point that Tim made, is that one, you have to have, like one thing we've struggled with AppSumo is you have to feel progress. So do pick one, if you're going to pick a metric, like maybe it is just revenue, don't make it something that's realistic, that suits you. Have a progress that makes you feel you're going forward, and have something really tiny each day that you can indicate whether you're on it or not. Right? Like, okay, good, this is my small win for the day, as we talked about earlier.
Okay. I think we've got maybe time for one more question. Richard Brownsden from the UK says, what's the difference between validating and running a pilot?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't either.
Maybe we'll take one more beyond
I'm not sure. You wanna? Yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll get one more from that.
Running a pilot sounds a lot cooler.
Yeah, it does. I want to be a pilot.
Pei Chen is saying, how do you prevent someone from taking your idea? A survey or testing reveals a lot about it.
I have thoughts on that. But
Oh man, I'll rip this guy.
yeah, go for it.
You want to do first?
I'm sure we have the same opinion on this. Just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's symptom number 9 of being an entrepreneur, is that you want an NDA or you're afraid that someone else is going to do it. What I've actually realized is that all business is a copy of a business. Right? So someone's saying Groupon invented, no, like people have been selling online for a long time. And people have been selling in stores for a long time. And whatever you already thought of, someone smarter's already thought of it. I would say the biggest thing is to go do it. And one of the realizations I had is I went to a conference, a startup conference, and I said, we're AppSumo, we promote tech products for startups. And I was like, how many people have heard of us? And half the room raised their hand. And I was like, half the room, this is what we do. Where's the rest of the people? And it was actually a really big epiphany for me that there's a lot of people out there. And so don't worry about the other people that are already doing it. Don't worry about sharing your secrets. Just get it started. And that's the best way that you can move forward. Unless you're doing maybe biotech, which he's not.
Yeah. Probably not. Just to add to that also, to reiterate it, so number 1 is, as an entrepreneur, as a good chef, as a good athlete, as a good fill in the blank, you need to be very confident in your ability to generate ideas and opportunity. And if you only have one idea, don't start a business. Like, you're going to have to change that. And so if you only have one sort of thing that you need to cling to, you shouldn't start the business. You need to be confident in your ability to improvise and compete. Because even if you launch your business, you protect it until you launch, as soon as it's successful, you're going to have 10 people try to copy it. And so that would be number one. And then, no, that's number two as well.
Don't worry about someone else stealing your idea. If that's the case, then you probably shouldn't be starting anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no, what I was going to say also, just in like the VC
please.
game, when people invest, if you have no competition, venture capitalists get really worried. It's like, they always assume, like, if somebody comes in and has a great idea, they're like, okay, 5 other smart teams are working on this right now, even if they don't know it. Why should we invest in this team? And you should ask yourself the same question, even if you're not in the VC game.